Candace Owens thinks Charlie Kirk is a time traveler who has electric lightning powers and went to magic mutant school.
Charlie Kirk thought that he was a time traveler.
Well, was. Because he's extremely dead now. Something she says he predicted with his powers. Which is odd, because if I could see the future, I probably would have stepped like 6 inches to the left on September 10th, so I didn't Kirk the bucket. But hey, maybe that's why they call him a martyr, not a smarter. For some reason, she starts off her video on Charlie Kirk with a tangent about Fruit of the Loom losing its cornucopia and the Mandela effect, even though I doubt she knows Nelson Mandela even went to prison.
Till you guys tried to convince us that Fruit of the Loom never had a cornucopia, right? There was one. We all know that. By the way, if you're watching this and you don't know that, I want nothing to do with you. You're in the wrong timeline. We are not in the same timeline.
I personally don't care about this at all. I only care about the men modeling Fruit of the Loom. But I did count all the times her name and face is in this shot, and it's over 25. So now I understand why pride is a sin. Candace tells the audience that we're at the beginning of the end of a long satanic run, because the deep state is panicking. What that means, she nor I will ever know, but she'll say it anyway, because she'll say anything for money.
It is an absolute fact that Charlie Kirk thought that he was a time traveler. He told me he was a time traveler repeatedly. I showed you guys that text message exchange. I said to him in response that I didn't feel the same way and that I thought I was from another planet, that I was an alien my entire life. Just do not get it here. This planet is ghetto. That's how I feel. I don't understand it. The rules don't make sense. I think that's also why I like cats so much.
See, this to me makes perfect sense. Not like anything she said, of course, but the fact that she is proudly delusional really contextualizes everything else she says.
Thinking about that, the security, him texting saying I'm not allowed to go anywhere, I feel so important, I think was the exact message. That to me is objectively weird in retrospect. Wasn't weird at the time, it's weird now, and it makes me think that Charlie may have been marked since he was a child.
So anything can seem weird retroactively when you allow knowledge of the future to color the past, like the people who were late to catch their train the day of a disaster, thereby preventing them from potentially being killed, or worse, injured. Looking back, it seems like it must mean something, but it doesn't. You just have poor time management and a bit of magical thinking, and so do I. I even went to school to learn how to think magically, but I didn't.
When he was really young, they wanted to drug him, but his mother said no, and he was really grateful for that. And instead, they decided that they could send him to this X-Men school. That's the best way I can describe it. I would certainly, by the way, for you internet sleuths, I'd like to find out which school Charlie had to attend. So he was pulled out of the regular school he was attending, and he had to go to some special school for the gifted, like he was an X-Man.
Wait. Does Candace think the gifted program at her school was filled with mutants? Because it wasn't. The only gifts those kids had were higher expectations and a low self-esteem as they eventually aged into mid-adults like everyone else. And why didn't her good friend Charlie tell her what school he went to at any point during their conversations about it? If she must know, he attended and graduated from a very public school in Illinois. When I was a child in school, they tested me to see if I was gifted because I did well, but I became belligerent during the exam because I refused to accept the land-centric idea that there are multiple oceans. There aren't. If there were, my first age gap crush Daddy Triton wouldn't be king of the entire ocean. As punishment for my brilliance, they sent me back to Gen Pop to be tortured by heterosexuals for the next 10 years. I guess what I'm trying to say is, Candace Owens is stupid.
And I am of the opinion that he's been monitored since. That his test scores, whatever the score, every test they probably did on him, he was off the charts and they wanted to make sure that he was being watched. Maybe we should be training our kids to get like an 85% on the test. At most, before the government agents are going to swoop in and go, who is this genius child?
My kid comes home from school with an 87% on they/their first grade spelling test, and I pick them up like a doll and shake them screaming, "What have you done? What have you done?" Why do I sound like Dawn from Buffy? Buffy, what have you done? As the SWAT team repels through the window, showering us with glass, and takes the kid away, much to my relief, because I never wanted to be a mother.
And a lot of weird things used to happen to Charlie. He would go on runs.
You're right. Going on runs is super weird behavior. Who does that?
I think I told you guys this, after sundown, and when he was running, street lights would go out. Like it was like he was in a burst of energy, like he was a lightning bolt or something. So,
oh, so close. You're thinking of The Flash. You can tell the difference between Charlie Kirk and The Flash because The Flash is a beloved Halloween costume and Charlie Kirk is a skeleton. Candace tells us she's going to show us a video about Project Looking Glass because she doesn't know how to do her own research on the topic and blindly believes everything she sees on YouTube. And it'd be great for her finances if everyone else did too. Project Looking Glass is apparently a CIA program to look into the future or something. I also didn't look it up because I don't care, and you can't do that. She says she couldn't even find the name of the guy working the channel, which is usually the outcome when you don't look for something, so fuck his drag, I guess.
But he begins by taking us back to the Y2K scare. You guys remember that. Of course, you remember the Y2K scare. I was actually scared. I was young. I was like, oh my gosh, I just don't want to die like this. I don't want to die just because it's midnight.
I don't want to die just because it's midnight. It's so funny. That's cute. I get her here, though. I took out a bunch of credit cards before the world ended in 2012 because what's Visa going to do to get the money back after the world ends? Fun fact, after 7 years in Canada, they legally can't mess up your credit to get the cash back. She shows a clip from this video, which is showing a clip of Joe Rogan, and I've just become keenly aware that now you're watching a clip of me react to a clip of Candace reacting to a clip from this channel, which is responding to a clip of Joe Rogan, and maybe I'm part of the problem. I'm not, but isn't it extremely self-aware and humble of me to even imply I might be? No.
The most famous? The BerenstEIN Bears. Millions remember it as BerenstEIN with an E, but every book says BerenstEIN with an A, and that's just the beginning.
If you're running a simulation and you go back and you change some variables and you rerun the simulation, lots of little things could be different along the way, right? You have many different possible paths.
You have glitches in the matrix.
Exactly. You're now on this timeline, but you remember, you have like a deja vu, or you have like a weird memory.
Okay, hold on. She's on to nothing. I absolutely adore the lack of accountability some people have. No, my memory couldn't be wrong. The entire universe must have shifted a letter, which makes a lot of sense. Human memories are infallible, and the universe has a thing for shifting letters. Or maybe it's just that at the age people were reading the BerenstEIN Bears, they weren't particularly concerned with the spelling on the books, the spelling in the books, or the spelling of the letters, as they were babies reading some of the ugliest books known to man. Stan, Jan, if those are even your real names, and they weren't changed from Sten and Jen. With all due respect, this looks like fucking shit. Those aren't even bears. The real scandal is that those look like fucking rodents. And speaking of rodents, after sitting silently through 180 seconds of video, adding absolutely no value whatsoever, she chimes in to say that people who know that Pikachu had black on his tail are being silenced. An issue of the utmost importance to Candace, being the staunch Pokemaniac she is well known to be. And as with every time someone on the right says they're being silenced, she says it to her platform of 1 million people while being decidedly not silent.
But he definitely had black at the end of his tail. Some of these things just don't make any sense to me. And it's just amazing that we just sort of accept it and we just keep moving on. And when you start asking questions, they try to paint you with, no, don't ask the questions, just keep going on. Let's just pretend. Let's just pretend that, there was no cornucopia. Anyways, this brings us obviously to the CIA's Project Looking Glass.
That sequitur was extremely obviously, they changed Pikachu's design, which now brings us to CIA time travelers. Extremely connected in ways that I'm sure you understand, I'm sure. You might be wondering, how does the CIA do this? Well, in order to see into the future, you need to return to the past. And to return to the past, you need to travel. And to travel, you need a passport. That means nothing, but it sounds wise, right? Wrong.
This time, just like a lot of times before, they stole a device from the ancient Sumerian civilization that's located in modern day Iraq. Very advanced civilization. They're obsessed also with Egyptian civilization, as we discussed yesterday. The Satanists kind of taking and reintroducing these things. First, they keep them to themselves. They hoard these things, and then they kind of give us certain aspects of technology as time goes on. So they steal this piece of technology and they incorporate it into a computer, and suddenly they're apparently able to predict future outcomes.
For sure, she's talking about those paper fortune teller things from my school, for sure. There's no way the CIA agents aren't sitting there being like, favorite color? BLUE. You're gonna fucking die.
Because this isn't just about false memories or tech. It might explain why everything since 1999 feels frozen and artificial. Like we're on rails in a version of reality that wasn't meant to last this long.
No, it doesn't. You might need to consult your general practitioner and just have a check-in on what's been going on with you. I'm fairly certain the video she's watching was written by ChatGPT as well.
That was backed up, by the way, by a lot of different things. Mayan civilization, the calendar. Remember that whole scare? Why doesn't the calendar go beyond?
Why doesn't your fucking calendar go beyond, Candace? Every December, she's holding her calendar, shitting her pants, throwing up on her desk like, oh my God, what does it mean? Nothing. It means nothing. It means get a new fucking calendar. It means maybe somebody back in year 4 thought there's no way we're all making it to the day Candace Owens is alive. Sometimes calendars just stop because they aren't meant to go on forever. That's why at the end of every year, I get a biblically accurate Angelus to snap the neck of mine.
To bring this back to my earlier point about all of these things that are happening or have happened that are seemingly inexplicable, it just lives inside of me that Charlie Kirk knew he was going to die.
I don't know how to tell you this, Candace, but everyone's going to die, whether they know it or not. But most people actually are keenly aware of that. It is, in fact, the only guarantee made to people who are alive. One day, I might even die.
How was he even able to describe it as this tragic event? How did he know? How was he certain, by the way, as he said in those messages, that from the moment he signed onto the dotted line to begin Turning Point USA, he knew he was going to die. He knew his death was going to be related to Turning Point USA. That's not a coincidence, okay? It is completely absurd to have people, oh, I don't know, maybe just a coincidence. No, that's not a coincidence at all. Why did he know that I was going to defend him? Also, why did Charlie think he was a time traveler? He said, as I showed you in earlier messages, that he was a time traveler and he had to find me. Is that just something people are saying to their homies in text messages?
Me poking a hornet's nest and claiming I'm clairvoyant or Claire Hornet because I see myself getting stung in the future. Nobody is saying it's a coincidence that he died. Someone shot him.
And I think we would all agree that his death and the manner that they did it changed the world in ways that I don't think we can fully realize, or certainly not in a way that I can articulate. You just cannot pretend that all of this is one big unhappy coincidence.
Also, nobody is saying that it's a coincidence that he was shot, but also in the gifted program. If it's not related or connected in literally any way, it's not a coincidence. It's just 2 random facts. It's not a coincidence when your mom likes Celine Dion and then she also dies one day. I don't even know that he was in the gifted program. So it's 1 fact and 1 claim. Coincidence? I don't think.
I think plausible that they knew something about Charlie. And that's why they had him marked and had him monitored and had him likely followed since he was young. And maybe they thought, like the agents think, that if they swarmed him and they stayed with him and they pretended to be his friend, that ultimately they could control Charlie and perhaps change an outcome. They could literally change an outcome related to Charlie. And for the first time in his life, Charlie peeks his head up and starts to push back in a meaningful way. They couldn't stop him from becoming bigger. That seemed to be inevitable. But they panicked. They seemed to have panicked, right? I mean, this is just starting to happen within a year when Charlie's going like, hey, man, I don't actually think this. I don't actually believe this. And then he goes, you know what? Take the money. Take the money out of the organization. And they panicked. They freaked out. And their solution was, no, just kill him. Just kill him. We can't have this. This is not something that we are prepared to happen.
I love that agents of the deep state are losing their mind because a rabid pop figurine was arguing with children on campus. Why? What was he pushing back against? The one thing about conspiracy theorists is that their explanations always require so much more justification than reality does.
The more pressure they exert toward control, the more they spin out of it. Another example, lock them down at home. Make them wear a mask, right? Create COVID in a lab, make everybody sick, force them to get the jab.
I'm only going to say this once. 2 times. 1, Candace Owens is a robot. 2, Candace Owens is a robot. And don't make me repeat myself. Because Candace Owens is a robot, it's hard to take her feelings about COVID to heart. Because she's never had COVID, or a heart, or feelings.
Evil is really fun that way until it accidentally awakens the entire world to how fraudulent Big Pharma is. Like, is this now everyone's going, is this just a factory of poison? Do these people hate? Are they so evil? Have we just been giving our bodies over to quote unquote science?
Where do you expect quote unquote science to get bodies if not given over by us? And you should absolutely be giving your body over to science because I need to see your brain. I need to know that it exists because extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. And after watching this, nothing short of her brain in an apothecary jar will convince me she has one. Girl needs a script because she cannot keep a thought in her head. In like 2 minutes, she jumps from clairvoyance to porn to AI to the Antichrist to Babylonians worshipping the stars to an ad read that is entirely inscrutable. No scrutes allowed.
Obviously cannot know for certain what it is that they saw when they peered through into this looking glass, but I do have they are positively obsessed with the Antichrist. I have spiritual discernment. Something about the entire AI movement feels wrong. Producing reports about Christ is King. Is that not just a waste of money? Why do they do that? Can we just revisit that? Why did It's the very reason they set about removing the Bible from creating Hollywood in general, which was supposed to mirror Babylonian culture, training us to worship stars. Think about this. I lost a job in part for saying that pornography is a spiritual weapon. Yeah, but it feels to me like it's the last squeals of a dying demon. When a woman sees her baby on an ultrasound, everything changes. Her baby's chance at life doubles, and for just $28, you can sponsor that ultrasound. Again, that's pdsdebt.com/Candace. Okay, so modern science kind of being run by Satanists, so obvious. Again, just go back and watch our episode on the moon landing and the rituals that they were doing.
Brain. Jar. Now, I love that science, the practice of testing and understanding the world around us, is just kind of being run by Satan. Kind of. Like he's a lab assistant or he consults occasionally when they're making a new vaccine. Like, hey, Satan, hey, we made a new vaccine. I think you're really going to love how diabolical this one is. It'll save millions of lives. Okay.
This took place. CERN discovers satanic human sacrifice taking place at the Large Hadron Collider's grounds. Okay. A satanic human sacrifice, it reads, has been staged on the grounds of the European Organization for Nuclear Research, the home of the Large Hadron Collider.
She plays a clip of what's clearly a prank video with people in Amazon.com robes doing a cringe ritual sacrifice skit, but asks the question no one else is willing to ask. What if it weren't a skit? Which is a really thought-provoking question if you never think unless provoked. But it isn't thought-provoking, it's thought-revoking. And again, not connected to anything to do with Charlie Kirk. Despite her thinking, and I use that term lightly, this serves as evidence for her lightning time traveler theory. These people are making fun of the fact that conspiracy theorists are always prattling on about CERN opening portals for aliens or creating black holes that suck the stain out of Daddy Bear. She asks, how did they get that statue there? The answer, which is literally on the CERN fact, is that it and many other statues and art pieces were donated and are on the property. So she wonders, if they can get away with making you believe this skit isn't real, can they make you believe other things that are fake aren't real? Could they convince us that the unfounded satanic panic was unfounded? That the basement in Comet Ping Pong that didn't have a basement didn't exist? And the answer is no, they can't, because clearly people believe nonsense just because they want to, because thinking they have a direct line to some esoteric knowledge. Oh, that's a cute name for a girl. This is my daughter, Eric. It's short for esoteric. Because thinking they have a direct line to some esoteric knowledge makes them feel like they aren't stupid, worthless cogs in a machine intent on grinding them into dust. The conspiracy theory becomes a lifeline, a way to reclaim significance in a world where they feel powerless or irrelevant. When you're convinced you've uncovered the real truth about vaccines, election fraud, or shadowy globalist cabals, you're no longer just another forgotten worker in a dying town. You're another forgotten warrior for truth, someone who sees what the sheeple in your dying town cannot. The right-wing ecosystem has become particularly adept at weaponizing this need for meaning. From QAnon to anti-vax movements to election denialism, these theories provide simple, emotionally satisfying explanations for complex problems that actually stem from systemic issues like wealth inequality, corporate power, and democratic dysfunction. But acknowledging those structural problems requires confronting uncomfortable truths about capitalism and power. And it's much easier to believe that vaccines contain microchips, which they don't. It's my son Chip. It's micro for microchip. These narratives preserve the existing order while redirecting anger towards scapegoats, immigrants, scientists, liberal elites, anyone but the actual concentration of power. The tragic irony is that while conspiracy believers think they're rebelling against the machine, they're often being fed these theories by grifters, opportunistic politicians, and media figures who profit from their alienation. While the sense of community found in conspiracy spaces is real, it's built on foundations of paranoia and misinformation that isolate believers further from reality and potential solidarity with others facing similar struggles. They become easier to manipulate, not harder. They become convinced they're free thinkers while marching in lockstep with whatever narrative they hear on X, the everything including CSAM app, decides to feed them next. Armed militia are murdering innocent people and hunting civilians in their country, and they're shitting themselves because they think Satanists are trying to make them watch Stranger Things. And they simply can't think of a fate worse.
Same people who hate Candace love Stranger Things. Same government, just fake and gay.
So true. So true. Meanwhile, Candace over here is cashing in on this shit with 5 fucking sponsors in this 55-minute video.
I don't want to use products where I am guessing what's in them or wondering why the brand suddenly seems to have shifted overnight, which is exactly why I also want to tell you guys about Field of Greens, because most people do not look forward to their annual physical because they're nervous about what the doctor might find.
On top of the sponsors, also merch. Merch that, quite frankly, looks like fucking shit. Unlike my merch, which is cute as hell.
I don't think any of this stuff is conspiracy. I think it's just fact. And they've been editing all of our history. And now we're going to kind of learn a lot about what's been hidden.
No, you're not. You wouldn't be able to find something hidden if it wasn't hiding at all. You're going to pontificate about a lot of shit that hasn't happened and won't happen. And they're going to cash your cute, huge check and laugh as the people who you mislead fall further into their own personal hells, influenced and exacerbated by your unhinged nonsense grifter rhetoric. Basically, the rest of her videos are replying to fan comments, and since none of that has anything to do with me, I'm no longer interested. I'm currently working on a few investigations, so if you want to follow along with those and get secret information not available anywhere else, you can sign up for a membership on Patreon or YouTube and see them happening live on my members' Discord. Please do. We have fun. Sharing the video, even to your own little email, doing a little hyping, that tells stupid YouTube that this video is worth watching. So after liking and subscribing, do me a cute, huge favor and do that. Check out my podcast, Respect the Dead, where we talk shit about dead people who sucked, like L. Ron Hubbard, Mother Teresa, Gandhi, Fred Trump, and in 8 weeks, Charles Entertainment Kirk himself. I also have merch. It's cute as hell, and something tells me you look so good in it. And that something is my need for money. Okay, love you, bye.
Make them wear a mask. Create COVID in a lab. Make everybody sick. Force them to get the jab.
Are you ready? Let's do it.
Make them wear a mask. No! Create COVID in a lab. Ew. Make everybody sick. Make them get the jab. Ow. La 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 la. A little bit Candace.